Oh, there are two possible hypothermia deaths in Multnomah County after last week's winter storm, and then another death linked to cold weather in Clackamas County.
And it was just 2 weeks ago when Portland City Commissioner Gonzalez changed policy to stop handing out tents. Our Jenny Young is asking whether Gonzalez stands by that ban today following those deaths. Jenny?
Jeff, Liz, he does, and he told us today that passing out tents and tarps fuels this humanitarian crisis.
It was miserable. Body was aching.
Daniel, who didn't want to show his face on camera, lives in a tent downtown. He says he didn't go to one of the county-operated warming centers last week, but says most people who live around him did. Why didn't you go to a shelter?
I don't really have a good reason for that.
He tells me it was impossible to stay warm, but he survived, partially by lighting a fire inside his tent, something he does regularly.
And then you just use like hand sanitizer or rubbing alcohol, and then it lights it, and then no smoke.
What is this can from?
Cat food.
Do you ever worry that the fire that you're lighting inside your tent is going to get out of control?
Oh, absolutely. That's a worry every day. It's happened pretty close a couple times, but I was able to put it out.
While we were chatting, I noticed a fire burning in this tent. Portland's fire marshal says firefighters have been called to more than 1,000 tent fires within the last 2 years. Commissioner Gonzalez, who oversees the Fire Bureau, calls it a dire public safety emergency and announced recently city workers within his bureaus will no longer pass out tents and tarps.
Late February, we almost now always have an ice storm like this, especially with, climate change seems to be making that worse. And so we know that something like this could happen, and then we're refusing people something that's going to help them survive in these conditions. And
Justice Hager with the organization Sisters of the Road acknowledges that tent fires are a big problem, but believes there are other ways to solve it.
Create more spaces for people to be able to stay warm or to get access to food. We could create places where people are allowed to have fires, where we know it'll be safe, where they're actually being monitored in some way.
All right, so we asked the commissioner's office if he could do an interview. We interviewed him when he made that announcement 2 weeks ago. They could not accommodate that today, but sent this statement saying in part, quote, Commissioner Gonzalez is committed to working with the mayor and other government partners on transitioning from unsanctioned camping to safer shelter options. It's also worth mentioning that the employees within the commissioner's bureaus are still passing out warming gear, including blankets and gloves and things of that nature. Reporting live tonight, Jenny Young, KOIN 6 News.